In 1968, two movies with appealing cars were released in theaters. One was from Disney, while the other was somewhat inspired by Disney. They both brought delights of their own, with The Love Bug favoring slapstick humor, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang seeking to deliver lavish musical fantasy. However, which one do I prefer? That's what I'm going to look into, but first, a brief history. The Love Bug was based on a story titled Car Boy Girl by Gordon Buford, which Walt Disney thought would make a good movie. He purchased the rights and convinced Dean Jones to star in the lead role. Disney sadly died before the film went into production, but director Robert Stevenson and writers Bill Walsh and Don DeGrady, who had previously collaborated on Mary Poppins, did their best to make something Walt would be proud of. This included choosing the Volkswagen Beetle as the sentient car, with his name Herbie coming from Buddy Hackett. Meanwhile, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was based on a book written by Ian Fleming, the author of the James Bond series. Bond film producer Albert Broccoli was inspired by the success of Mary Poppins to produce a film adaptation, even bringing on board Dick Van Dyke to star and Richard and Robert Sherman to write the songs. Julie Andrews was also courted to play the female lead, but she turned it down, and Sally Ann Howes was cast instead. Ken Hughes was hired to direct and also rewrote a lot of Roald Dahl's script, although in the end Hughes did not look back fondly on the movie. Both films sought to bring a charm and joy to the audience, and I think they succeeded for the most part. They served as a celebration of a specific era of automobiles, with The Love Bug depicting the thrill many get from race car driving, and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang serving as a nostalgic look back at the cars of the beginning of the 20th century. While Volkswagen did not want to be associated with The Love Bug before the movie was released, the Ford Motor Company gave complete support to the makers of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Comparing the two movie cars, I do think Herbie has a bit more personality, but that's likely intentional. It's remarkable how the special effects team and car operators made Herbie so expressive, despite having no eyes or other human features. It's clear when he's angry or feeling sad, and thus we believe why the protagonist grown attachment to him. Apparently, in Fleming's book, Chitty also has a personality of his own, and even directed the characters to make certain decisions. However, the film only provides a few hints of the car being sentient. Nonetheless, he certainly has a lot of charm, thanks to his incredible set of abilities and gadgets. Said gadgets are where a lot of the enjoyment of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang comes from. Roland Emmett was responsible for many of the inventions seen in the workshop of Van Dyke's character, Caractacus Potts, and they tell so much about him. Potts' invention of a candy that can also play music even leads to a fun sequence in a sweets factory, which calls to mind a certain book written by Roald Dahl. In The Love Bug, Dean Jones provides a great turn as race car driver Jim Douglas. He would play many roles for Disney over the years, but Douglas definitely remains his best. His changing attitude towards Herbie throughout the film is sweet to see, especially as he comes to realize how responsible the little car is for winning many of their races. Buddy Hackett also has a delightful turn as the mechanic Tennessee, the first person to form a close friendship with Herbie. Both movies have the main protagonist form a romance with a female lead, although they don't start off too rosy. Potts is initially annoyed with Truly Scrumptious. Yes, that is her name, but we know they'll eventually become close. It does not even take long after that first meeting for them to become friends, although romance is not the central focus of the film. In The Love Bug, Carol is actually working for the villain, Peter Thorndike, but we see she has completely different morals than him. There are a number of comedic scenes focused on Herbie trying to play matchmaker and pair her and Jim. If this was not a comedy, other characters would probably think she was being kidnapped, but I think the filmmakers are going for a different tone here. Eventually, their attention goes towards winning the big race in the climax, with Carol, Jim, and Tennessee working together. Of course, both of these couples wind up together in the end, but the filmmakers also recognize there are other things at stake. David Tomlinson is hilarious as Thorndike, as we see him scheme to win all the races and get the car he initially rejected. The desperation which he goes leads to some humorous sequences, especially later on when he's paired with Joe Flynn. It's a sort of over-the-top performance that works, with Tomlinson depicting Thorndike with the right mustache twirling and scheming attitude. The main villain of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is the Baron of the fictional kingdom of Bulgaria, but most people remember the child catcher. There's such an absurdity to having a profession like that, but it fits with the overall tone of the movie. Robert Helpman really gives the performance his all as he tries to get hold of Potts' children, although I don't know why anyone would accept candy from this man literally named the child catcher. Interesting enough, remember when I mentioned that a lot of Dahl's original script was rewritten? He was actually very irritated about that, although there is debate about whether the child catcher was one of the few remaining elements from his drafts. He definitely seems like a character out of Dahl's books, but Ken Hughes said he was the one who came up with him. A decision I find very strange about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is having the second half be a story told by Potts. Audiences happily accepted the magical goings-on in Mary Poppins only a few years earlier, so it's odd the filmmakers would feel the need to have this section of the movie be a complete fantasy. Walt Disney even produced The Absent-Minded Professor earlier in the decade, which had a flying car of its own, and viewers did not seem to have a problem with this. Maybe they were trying to pull Wizard of Oz, but that movie was released in 1939, when they assumed people would not accept a magical world on the screen. One of the big selling points of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is the soundtrack with songs by the Sherman Brothers. In typical Sherman fashion, these are catchy tunes with woody lyrics. I actually had not seen the movie in over 20 years before watching again for this video, and so I was shocked I remembered several songs beyond the main theme. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is still my favorite, but Toot Sweet, You Too, Me Old Bamboo, Hushabye Mountain, and Posh are also wonderful. The choreography is excellent, with Me Old Bamboo looking especially impressive as Van Dyke and multiple dancers move around with bamboo sticks. Another inspired number is one where Potts and Truly pretend to be moving dolls. If there's a weak link, it's Lovely Lonely Man, but not because of the quality of the song. It's actually quite a nice song, but the film grinds to a complete halt when it plays. So much so that when the film was adapted into a stage musical in 2002, that song was removed. The Love Bug is not a musical, but it does feature a great score by George Bruns. A frequent composer for Disney, I've always liked the sound of his music, whether for the studio's animated movies or its live-action comedies and adventure films. For The Love Bug, he wrote an appropriately cheerful composition for the main theme, along with a sadder piece for the section where Herbie runs away and Jim goes looking for him. The big race that ends The Love Bug is a lot of fun, as we get all sorts of humorous shenanigans as Jim and his friends try to beat Thorndike. The filmmakers came up with a lot of inventive scenarios, including a hilarious bit involving a bear. Even though we obviously know the hero is going to win, part of the enjoyment comes from seeing the way Herbie moves around the track and how they outsmart Thorndike. Chitty actually takes a bit of a backseat through a good amount of the third act, as the Baron has stolen it away, but there are nonetheless a few moments where we see more of its gadgets and it flying. A problem I do have with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is how much padding there is in this movie. It runs almost 2.5 hours, with quite a few scenes that can come across as filler. For those who have not seen the film since childhood or ever, it's probably surprising how long we have to wait before Potts gets a hold of Chitty. And not only does it take almost 90 minutes before we see the car fly, it happens after the intermission. The movie definitely benefits by having energetic musical numbers, great songs, and likable lead characters. It was common for roadshow musicals of the era to be around this length, but I nonetheless think the film could have used another trip to the editing room. So in the end, which do I prefer? I'm going to say The Love Bug. With its winning humor and charming car, the movie makes for solid, light entertainment. With Robert Stevenson's skill behind the camera and a cast who knew exactly the right tone to play the characters, The Love Bug takes the best approach of its concept and even winds up a very good racing movie. It's easy to see why the film resonated with the late 60s audience, helped sales of the Beetle, and led to a long-running franchise for Disney. Even if it does run a little too long and pretends the more magical elements did not actually happen, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang nonetheless has things to admire. The Sherman Brothers wrote a wonderful selection of songs, and Dick Van Dyke is a delight. The imagination is on full display throughout the movie, with some great visuals, and just when it seems like the movie might be sagging, something grabs our attention again not long afterwards. It was a film I was happy to revisit after such a long time, and I think I may even appreciate it a bit more now than when I was a child. Now let me know in the comments whether you prefer The Love Bug or Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I'll see you next time.